Good morning. Hello, everyone. Hello. I just first want to say thank you so much for joining me on this call, because I know firsthand how precious our weekends are, just to be home with our families and not worrying about staffing or the day-to-day operations of our businesses. So I just want to say good morning. I take my hat off to my peers who never closed during the pandemic. One of my clients operates a 24-hour childcare center in D.C., and she actually have not closed not one day. And I just wanted to say thank you for your services, because we are living in some times right now that I can't even understand what's going on. So just a little bit about my background. I have been the owner of Timber Creative Learning Center since 2007. And pre-COVID, we serviced 136 families ages 6 weeks to 12 years old. Currently I have a little over half of my children who return due to the mandatory class size difference. Right now, we can only have 9 children in each classroom. I decided to close my center on March 27th, and we reopened on June 15th. And a week after we opened, we had 2 COVID scares, so I decided to close again for 4 days while we waited for the test results. Thank God that they both were negative. But when I say that was an emotional roller coaster, it's just, I'm sure a lot of us are going through some of the same issues with the scares in our centers. But I do know that we are resilient. We have survived. Most of us have survived 9/11 and the housing crisis. So I have faith that things are going to get better. I purchased my building that I'm currently in during that bubble. So if there's a will, there's a way. I am also a certified John Maxwell coach. I coach childcare providers on how to operate a profitable childcare center, regardless of where you're located. And in 2019, Denver was named the Small Business of the Year, which was presented by the Prince George's of Chambers. And we don't take that recognition lightly. And I often say that it's a blessing and a curse, because we have to maintain consistency. So I have to make sure when I'm onboarding new people that they understand my why, and they understand how important it is for them to follow proper procedures, so we can continue to maintain excellence throughout the community. Today, I just wanted to go over one of the checklists that my admin team used to guide their day. We have several checklists that they use, but this one here is pretty simple to follow. I hope everyone received the attachment. And if you did not receive it, please just let me know. You can message me, or we can talk after this 30-minute call. But I just wanted to go over exactly how this is the toddler daily checklist. We have 2 toddler classrooms and 2 infant rooms. And I decided to create these forms because I was frustrated with saying the same thing over and over again, and I am sure I'm not alone, because it just feels like sometimes that we are a broken record. But when we decided to create these checklists, it just made our life so much easier. We were able to explain to our team why we were creating it, and every morning, every day, throughout the day, my admin team is responsible for going around in the classrooms to do their own observation. I always say what doesn't get inspected gets neglected. I have also had the privilege over the last 13 years to service 3 licensing specialist children in my center. And a lot of times people say, wow, I wouldn't want a licensing person in and out my building every day, all day. Not only 1 licensing specialist, we had 3 of them who decided to bring their children to Simba. And just recently my director told me that the licensing specialist supervisor called Simba and wanted to enroll her niece's baby, which is an infant. So needless to say that her infant baby is on our wait list. And I was like, wow, that would take 4. And I'm saying that to say, when people who are in charge, who are paying attention to what's going on in our industries, decide to select certain centers to service their children, that tells me something. So I'm not saying it to brag. I'm saying it that it is possible to stand out amongst. We have 1,100 childcare centers in Prince George's County, and I was told that we're the only center that can say the 3 licensing specialists selected us. So, and I can say that it's only because of the people that I have in those classrooms. I have nothing to do with that. I'm not even at my center. It's only because of the people we hire in those classrooms that make the difference. Those people are the reason why I charge premium rates. They're the reason why the parents are writing rave reviews. So it's a secret to the sauce. So I just wanted to let you guys know that if I can do it, so can you. I can remember back in 2000 when I first started, I didn't have enough money to pay myself. So I did not pay myself for a long time. I was one of those ones. I was extremely overwhelmed. I wish my business would just go away. It was unbelievably stressful, but I figured it out. So if you look at this form, we pay close attention to these bullet points that's on this form. Time and attendance is very important. Reliability is one of our core values, so we pay close attention to if a person is getting to work. We ask staff to get there at least 5 minutes before their shift. So the teachers are looking in ProCare see what time they clock in, and in order to stay on top of this, if they are late, we counsel them. We don't necessarily write them up. We counsel them and try to find out what is going on. Is there anything we can do to help you? The last time I spoke to one of my staff who was continued to be late, I looked and I wanted to speak to her myself. I'm normally there on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I just brought her in and I wanted to talk to her. And after I spoke to her, I literally was in tears when she told me. And I told my team, I said, sometimes all you have to do is talk to people and find out. She had 3 children. She told me she was going all the way to D.C. to hand over her baby to her cousin who was late, sometimes beating her. She was taking her 5-year-old to school to try to get all the way back across town to Simba. So what we did was we just adjusted her schedule. And once we adjusted her schedule, she was never late again. But when she was telling me the story, I'm in tears and she's crying too, because she was like, Miss Allen, I know how important it is for me to be here. However, this is what I'm going through in the morning. My cousin is not always meeting me at 6:30 in the morning because she had to be to work at 7:30. And I said, okay, let me have some empathy. Let's figure out what we can do. So it kind of fixed the problem. We look at the uniform violations. We have a strict policy on their fingernails, their shoes have to be black, all black shoes. They have to pull, certain classrooms have to pull their hair back. The policy is if you have weaved hair in the other classrooms, in the infant and toddler rooms, they have to push their hair back, but the other classrooms, they if it's weaved hair, they have to pull it back. But if it's your natural hair, it's okay if you're the 2-, 3-year-old, 4-year-old teacher. They check on classroom ratios, making sure the teachers are not leaving the room, going to the bathroom without asking someone to watch over the classroom. We also make sure that cell phones are out of sight. And to believe it or not, y'all, we have no issues with staff having their cell phones out because they already know we're looking for them. They already know every day the admin team is going to make sure the cell phone is put away. So it's the standard. Certain things have to be updated on our boards, lesson plans, goals and objectives, staff evaluation, and sometimes they forget to update it, and we just give them a friendly reminder that this is the standard. Please make sure it's completed during that time. We have the spray bottles that must be labeled and dated. In the state of Maryland, we have to date and we have to put the date and the name of the solution. If it's bleaching water, if it's soapy water or water, we have to date it and name it. And sometimes people forget to do that, so we have to make sure they are following proper procedures. The cleanliness of the classroom is certain things that they have to do during that time. They have to wipe down the shelves. They have to clean the toys. They have to make sure the bathroom is done. They have to wipe down the cot. So this form is to allow us to keep on top of making sure our classes are clean at all times. We don't have a cleaning service. We clean our own house. Every day they have to do at least 2 children's observations and date it. That's because of our accreditation states that we have to observe, and the observations guide our lesson plan. Outside accountability sheet. We have to make sure whenever the children go outside, the teachers are counting the children before they go outside, and they count them when they come back in. And we have a form to guide us to make sure they have to take that form outside with them, so the admin team is making sure they have their outside accountability form. It's too many centers are getting in trouble or closing down because a child was left outside, a child was left on a bus, a child was hiding behind a structure where they didn't see them. So before they go outside, they count before they come in. We have classroom schedules posted on each door. We do understand that there's some flexibility when it comes to childcare, but if the schedule says that they're supposed to be outside at a certain time and you're sitting down doing circle time, that's non-negotiable. Outside time is outside time. But if we look at the calendar, your classroom schedule, and it says that you should be doing their time and you decided to do Spanish, we're a little flexible with that. Children's spaces are clean. It's a must. One of my pet peeves is dirty noses and shoes untied. So just pay attention to making sure the hands are washed and the spaces are clean. We have an end-of-the-day transition book, meaning before the teachers leave at the end of the day, we make sure we know who they're leaving in the classroom, how many children in that classroom, how many children are in the classroom, and if there's anything that the teacher needs to leave a note for one of the parents. Because so often when parents pick up, the lead teacher may be gone for the day, and they don't communicate with the parent something that the teacher wanted to tell them. Although we put it in tadpoles, we all know sometimes parents don't read. So we like to communicate with them during the pickup time if there's anything urgent that the teacher may need to tell them. We don't allow cups with lids in the classroom. Too often those cups turn over, and I find myself in the past, sometimes I need to buy new carpet, or it can stain the floors, or if you have something hot, it can accidentally fall on a child and burn them. We don't allow any personal food stored in the classroom refrigerator. We have a refrigerator just for staff for that. We have a daily health form that needs to be filled out correctly. Every morning before the parents leave, we look over the child and we let the parent know if we see something before they leave. We notice this little bump on Sally's hand or arm. I just want to bring it to your attention because we all know everything happens at childcare, everything. So it makes a difference when the parent sees it before you leave, and it's no big deal. But it's a big deal when we don't bring it to their attention. We have a breathing accessibility form. We check our children's breathing, all of the children's breathing, because a few years ago, I think it was maybe last year, I saw on the news where a 4-year-old died sleeping on a cot. They don't know how the child died, but the paramedics said that they feel like if they could have checked the child's breathing, there could have been some hope if they would have done CPR. And once I saw that on the news, I immediately changed my policy. So every 10, 15 minutes, they just go around and check the breathing. Following proper hand washing procedures, we like to make sure the children, when they come in from outside, they're washing their hands. When they come into the classroom in the morning, the parents and the children, staff must wash their hands. So the teachers are the admin team is paying close attention to make sure this is happening. And all they do is say yes or no. And if they notice that it's not happening, it's just a coaching session with them and say, we noticed little Johnny walked in and went straight and sat down in circle time. And we just need to make sure we're following proper procedures to keep everybody safe. So this is just the toddler checklist that we use. We use about 5 other forms throughout the day or throughout the week, but I just wanted to share this one because this one is the most impactful to me. So I just wanted to open up the lines. If anyone have any questions, I am here to answer. Hello. Any questions?
I have one, actually.
Can you give me your name?
My name is Julie.
Hi, Julie.
And I guess my question would be so starting from scratch with doing this and then getting your staff on board to complete, for them, I could hear a lot of them complaining that there's just more work for them to do filling out all these forms.
Oh, are you talking about your teachers? You talking about your teachers or your admin?
Right now, I'm the director there. The owner is only there in the afternoon, so I only have teachers. We don't have an admin team.
So you're the director, you said?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So this would be your responsibility to just go around and make sure it's done, or you can empower one of your team members to ask them to do it. It is more work to do. However, I explain to them why we're doing it, because if you don't make sure how do you make sure they're following proper procedures now?
Visually observing them, and I run across that same thing. Yeah, of going over, saying the same things over and over because things are not getting done.
Do they know what you're coming in to observe them for? Do they have any idea what you're looking for?
Well, we go over like in our staff meetings, and I'm talking just like the general, cleaning things, having their ages and stages and child service reports done on time, and just things like that I'm finding that they're not quite there with getting them done on a timely manner.
Well, it all starts with the onboarding process, because we set the standard when we hire staff. What we do when we hire someone, they have to train, and I understand everybody doesn't have the luxury of hiring people and allow them to train in all the classrooms, but we allow them to train in all of the classrooms so they can see what we do during that time. A lot of this work is done during that time, and they get a chance to talk with the teachers. They get a chance to help them do it. So it's a different mindset when they're done, because the expectation is this is what they will be doing once they are released to their classroom. So it does take time to get the teachers on board, but when you bring on your people, if your people are already doing it, it's no pushback.
Right.
And I know my this is just this is part of what they have to do. They have to do TAPOs. They put in their lesson plans. I mean, it's not an easy transition. I would probably start out with just a few of them instead of being overwhelming. Maybe you can start just checking their uniforms and making sure they're coming in on time. Maybe pick 3 or 4 versus the whole list, because the change doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
So
yes, part of our we took over the center about 18 months ago, and really expanded our enrollment. So we had to bring in a bunch of teachers, and we didn't have an onboarding process. So now that we've taken a step back and I'm really looking at how I want things to be done, and now I want to try to bring a lot of these checklist procedures done the right way. And I think that's what I'm kind of in the midst of working on now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And sometimes, you have to tell them your why, and they have to believe. Do you have a vision statement and core values?
No, I think we have just our mission, just a mission statement we have.
Okay, so I have vision statement that we at staff, whenever we have a meeting with more than 2 people, we recite our vision statement, and they have to memorize it because that is what guides us. The vision statement is the reason why we do what we do. And one of the things that my vision statement says is that we want to be the most sought-out childcare center for providing the highest quality of services to children 6 weeks to 12 years old. And we know that in order to do this, to be that most sought-out center, we have to go above and beyond of what we would normally do. We have to do things different from what our neighbors do for us to stand out and for us to be able to pay our staff top dollar. I don't pay them minimum wage. They get what they want. I ask them, how much money do you want to make? And we figure out what do we need to do in the business to make that kind of money. And so we strategize. Well, we need to work on professionalism. We need to work on going back to school or getting our CDA so when the director is doing tours, she can sell these classrooms. We are considered valuable now. We are valuable, so when someone come in and I say my rates are at $480 for an infant, they're like, okay, good. That's nothing. Those are the type of people we want to attract. But that wasn't always the case. With me, my infant rate used to be at $200, or probably less than that. So we had to build up to that standard of what I wanted. I knew I needed to pay my staff more money because if you're paying staff a little bit of money, it's going to be hard to have them want to work as hard as I want them to work because they don't really have anything to look for. But if we sit down and say, look, this is what we can do. If we can bring in more children and charge this amount, we all win. And I always say, this is not my money. As I grow, you grow. So one of my staff told me the other day when I first hired her, she was making $525. She said, I made $525. When I first started working, last year on her tax return, she made $53,000. So they see it. I give them a vision of it. You have to believe in this. We're operating a $50 billion business. And I don't care where you're located. There are always people who are affluent in certain areas, but they're not going to come to us if our leadership skills are not where they need to be. Because it starts with us. It starts with us, Julie. It starts with the type of people we're bringing into our house. A lot of times we do hire out of desperation, so we have not set the tone of what we want. When we hire out of desperation, we get that. I've done it many times. That's why I have an onboarding process that I live by. I don't skip the steps. No, you want to go through my 90-day onboarding process because you need to understand that this is work. It's not easy working at Simba, but you're gonna make the type of money you want to make as long as we keep growing, as long as you keep shining, as long as these parents are our raving fans. Everybody is going to reap the benefit. That's just my mindset. Everybody may not be where I am, but that's why I've been able to hit $2 million with one location, with being in a low-income area, because my mindset is totally different. Now, when I first started, I didn't know to think this way. I thought that, it was no money in child care because that was always in my mind. I didn't know. I thought it was cheap when I was bringing on my girls for $5 an hour. I thought that's what they deserved. Until one day it clicked. I was like, oh, no. No, we're going to start working on some professionalism. We're not going to be coming in here with all different color hair because it's all about perception. When parents come in here, it's all about perception. We're all young, so they already expect for us to be on our cell phones. They already expect for us to not communicate appropriately to them. But, no, we're going to change the trajectory of child care. And when I got that award in 2019, and it's for everybody. It's not just for them, but it's for all of my child care center friends. Because how often do you see child care centers getting recognized as the best small business in the area from the chambers of commerce? That's not. We don't see that. So, yeah, so it's just the onboarding process. I appreciate your question. I can go on and on, y'all, when I talk about child care, but I'm an honor at our time. Any other questions?
I have a quick question. It's Melissa. I wanted to find out. Hi, how are you? I wanted to find out real quick. We're kind of like at the same level. We've already started an onboarding process at the company. It's a 3-day onboard process that we do right now currently. But I feel like I get different levels of employees that still come in, even with the strengths we have as a company. And a lot of times I feel like some of the staff, regardless of what you pay them, even if it's good, because I do pay a lot of my staff very well, they just have like a I don't care attitude. And I'm trying to, like, we're very positive in the company, and I'm trying to find a better way. So, like, a lot of times we'll do, like, what's called a quarterly sit-down with all of our directors. I own 4 large schools. We'll sit down with our directors and we'll say, hey, who is, we'll have them make a list different, our directors and our assistant directors, and we tell them, who is your, A through F players. And I don't know if you guys know kind of what that means, but like who's really on board and who's kind of like falling off or moving away. And then that's kind of how we clean up our staff. As soon as they hit that DF mark, we replace them. I mean, we could be paying them very well, and it's just their personality. And we do a lot of stuff with inside the company. Like we'll do like yesterday we did a breakfast bar for them. So like we set up breakfast when they came in. And then we, like, when they do stuff, the directors, like, honor them, and they give them, like, little cards and say thank you for going above and beyond, and they'll put a gift card in there. So I guess my worries is, like, we're trying to lower the retention rate in our field, and it just seems like it's been really hard to even do that.
Well, I understand that the turnover rate is hard sometimes in child care. I can't remember what the percentage. I can't remember. Is it 70%? I can't remember what the statistics are. But we spend a lot of time in interviewing people. It may take 15 people before we get that one person. And we never stop interviewing. We interview. Even when we are not needing a teacher, we interview because you never know in child care. You never know when a teacher may decide to move on. I know that a lot of times in child care, people do get burnt out, especially when we're talking about the certain age groups that we attract. A lot of times these women are in their childbearing years. They want to go back to school. They have other things that agenda. So it's okay. I know I'm not going to be able to hold on to everybody, but I can say that quite a few of my girls have been there. My whole admin team has been with me for 13 years. Most of my girls have been with me for 5 years and up. I feel like once they hit that 8 years lately, they are ready to move on. One of them just got her degree in early childhood, so she's going to be a school teacher. Someone was just ready to do something else. my expectation really for my teachers are to go back to school and to do what your heart desires. Like, most of them want to be school teachers. I am okay with that. I enjoy bringing in new girls. I really do. It's just, it does something to my heart to see them motivated and going back to school, because in Maryland they can go to school for free. So when I tell them that they can go back to school for free, they're looking like, I can? So I give them the options of what they can do and what they can get if they decided to stay in the childcare industry. And I really believe that's why a lot of them stick around, because it's not just you're going to stay in the classroom as an assistant teacher or lead teacher for 10 years. You can move up to be, you could be the assistant teacher, the admin, part of the admin. All three of my admins who support my director were classroom teachers, so they can see their future. And not only that, we offer them benefits, and I know a lot of other centers do, but there are some that don't, where they have a retirement plan. They have a full a life insurance policy. They have health benefits. And the environment have a lot to do with if they want to stay in that house. Because we create, like you, Melissa, we do things to make sure we intentionally do things to allow our staff to bond intentionally. Mm-hmm. So that's every year we go somewhere away for the weekend. We celebrate milestones, and these girls are literally sisters. Like, they have bonds that no one can break, and sometimes I'm amazed, because I may call one of the girls over the weekend and ask them a question, and they all hanging out somewhere together. My nieces have gained 10 new girlfriends.
Right.
10 new girlfriends, and they honestly love each other. So it have a lot to do to what type of culture we create in our house. Now, there are some girls who start in that 90-day process. They don't mix their attitudes. Although I may have gone through a strenuous process, but they might be okay with speaking to me and my director, but when they moved around those classrooms, the energy wasn't right. So we're like, kind of look at them, keep watching them, and decide if they're a good fit or not. But it's just a hit or miss sometimes. Nothing is guaranteed.
Yeah, I'm just making sure there's nothing we left out, like as far as, trying to make sure they feel welcome, make sure they feel like, that they're a part of something. So we try the same thing. We try to really, recognize them and everything. And I think right now I just have one school that I'm always struggling at. Out of the other three are good, but this one school I just keep struggling at. So and we do the same method as we do throughout all the schools. It's just, it starts with the director, right? So I just fired my last director, and I have a new director in there now. So I'm hoping that culture changes inside, because I think it does start with who's running the place, right?
Yeah, so, and also it's important to identify the levels of leadership of your directors, because I know I used to operate, you do as I say, and people will follow me because they had to, not because they wanted to. So there are 5 levels of leadership that allows us to see where we are. Once we are a good leader, we're starting to influence our staff, and you're starting to provide value and inspiring them, and then you allow them to shine. You move them into higher places, or it's just a whole process in that system, because a lot of people are not leading to influence their staff. And not saying you're manipulating them. When you start influencing people, that means they start wanting to do things because they absolutely like you. They believe in what we're doing, versus you do that, you go home, you.
Right.
And it's almost like you're leading out of fear. And I used to do that, because I hear the stories. They tell me I'm a whole different person, but I know how I used to be, because I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
I really did not. So that made me respond whenever I saw something. I was always on, this. If somebody said something to me and I already have all these things in my head, you can get any type of negative energy from me. And until I learned what style of leadership I was, that's when things started to change in my business.
How can I find out what these 5 leadership levels are?
Have you ever heard of John Maxwell?
Yeah.
John C. Maxwell. Google his 5 levels of leadership, and I posted. Do you follow me on Facebook? You do.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, Google 5 levels of leadership.
Okay, I'll do that then. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have one more question for you in case no one else does. Where do you start as far as, like, do you have, like, something that you can share with all of us of, like, where do you start with your processes for the onboarding process? Just the onboarding.
Okay, yeah. The first thing we do is I'm involved in that onboarding process. I normally do a telephone interview first. I'm going to tell y'all real quick. I do a telephone interview first. I speak to them over the phone. And if I'm interested, I bring them in. I have a personnel committee that also helps. So we bring them in. We have a working observation where they will come for 2 days and work in 2 different classrooms from 10 to 2. Normally, we do 10 to 2 because we don't want the parents to see everybody we are interviewing. So they come from 10 to 2. They have to wear certain, attire. We pay close attention to see how they present themselves. If the teacher in the classroom, they have a form because they're looking for certain things, attitude, just want to see if they're gossipers, see if they're helping, if they're asking questions. So if the teachers like them, they let the admin team leader know that they like them. So the admin team, which is part of the personnel committee, will interview, an exit interview, just to see how their day went, and then they make the recommendation to the director. They're like, yeah, we like her, she's good. If we want to onboard her, first we check for references. We always check references. And then after we check her references, we call them back and say, hey, we really like you. We want to offer you the job. And then if they say yeah or nay, we bring them back in to get the paperwork. Fingerprints, we don't pay for any of that. Medical, we ask them to give it to us in about a week. They bring it back, and then that's when we start the onboarding process. They have orientation with me. They do. We have a guideline, training guidelines, which outlines what they're going to be doing for the next 30 days. It tells them that they have to go into all the classrooms to train. We try to get them in all the classrooms for a week, but sometimes you just can't. But they have to be in all the classrooms for at least 2-3 days, at least, because I want the students to get used to the person. And everybody, we let the teachers know up here at a time that we're going to onboard this person who's going to be training with you, her name and all that before this person starts. And then they just pay attention. Pay attention. Each teacher classroom is different. And it's everything. Sometimes it don't even, sometimes we've had times where she'll go into a classroom and the energy was just off and she just didn't do right. So we kind of, look at them and ask questions and let them know what our expectations are if we decide to proceed. And then they have certain things they do for their whole 30 days. Like for the first 5 days, well, I just pushed it over to giving this to the admin leader. They said 5 things they learned, 2 things they still have questions about. They used to send that to me by email, but I took myself out of the equation. They send it to the admin person. So they do that for 30 days. They keep a notebook of all of the information we're giving them. They have test questions. They do a scavenger hunt. They have like a whole notebook of stuff that they're going through. And when I meet with them, I meet with them every 30, 60, 90 days. That's pretty much all I do when I go to December. I don't do any of the other stuff. I pretty much like to do my 30, 60, 90 days and set goals for them. That's what I do. I like to set goals. I like to provide value to them. I like to check in and ask them how you feeling. Do you feel overwhelmed because you've been in all these classrooms? And then I might ask them to help me do certain things because we clean our own building. So I might be like, can you help me take the trash out? Well, can you just help me clean the kitchen? Because I want to see their attitude. I want to see their response. Because we're always pulling on people, I might have to ask you to sit in the office and answer the phone. You never know. So I just want to see their body language. I want to see how they interact with me if I ask them on the fly to do something, because we're always doing that in child care. And I can tell early on, I was like, yes, I like her. She's very helpful. Mm-hmm. She doesn't have that negative energy with her. I didn't ask her to help me take trash out, and she did it with a smile. So there's certain tests that I do while they're going along the way. But so 30 days they have something to do. In their outline, their training guide, it tells them you have to get your first day CPR done in 30 days. You have to answer these questions, and you have to learn a vision statement. So when I meet with them on their 30th day, that's what we're going over. In 60 days, they have to have something to do. So if you watch my videos when I'm onboarding, I'm just going through the stuff that they're supposed to do. For the first 30 days, they have to wear all black. 60 days, after 30 days, they get this uniform shirt. So they feel, a lot of times they feel like, yeah, I got the Oxford shirt. Yeah, I made it. It's just cute. And then,
okay.
So that's just how that goes. I hope I got this question. I know I gave you a lot of information.
That's very good.
So
that's it. Thank you.
It's not bad. And that's why my new people can, that's why the ones that we decide to onboard and let stay with us, they're the ones that the parents are raving about. Like just the other day, I brought in a girl back in January, and she came in the room, and she texted me, and she said, gave me a little something that a parent said about her, because I'm always praising her, and I'm like, girl, you're an asset to them, but I love your energy. And when I see her, I'm like, girl, and so she couldn't wait to tell me what testimonial she got from one of her parents in the classroom, and she's new. And I said, she said, I just wanted to tell you because she made me smile when she told me. I was like, that is so sweet.
Awesome.
All right.
Do you pay them for those training days? I mean, for when they come in from that 10 to 2?
We just started paying them for their training days, but we did not before. I think I started maybe a year ago when I remember the labor department was going around and popping up at everybody's center, and I didn't know that you have to train them even though they're doing the work of observation. So we are very, very careful with who we ask to come back for work observation. If they're on the fence, because I know I'm putting out money, before we were just like, let's try her. She, we want to see how she is when she get in the classroom. But no, only the ones we feel like they're a good fit make it to the work and observation, because I'm paying them for their time.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for your question. All right. So I am going to end this call. I really appreciate your time. I think we had about 10 people on at first. I'm not sure how many had to transition to my phone. If you need to contact me, please message me. If you have any other questions, I do coach other child care owners on how to operate a profitable child care center. I had my welcome call yesterday. We're starting on next Saturday for 5 months. Every 2 weeks we will meet, and I go over everything that I know. I give them all of my documents. I help them recreate their vision statement, core values, mindset is most important, and we have fun. So if you're interested, you can message me and say, hey, I want to know more about what you do with child care owners, and I am willing to help. So I just want to let everyone know. Have a good day, and I would talk to you soon.
Great. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.